Today, we are going to be talking about the second stimulus check update. More specifically, I'm going to cover President Trump's executive order. Welcome back. My name is Caleb Oliver and welcome to my YouTube channel. There are four main parts to President Trump's executive order, which was signed on August 8th, 2020. The formal title of these actions is Presidential Memoranda. Here are the four Presidential Memoranda that you need to know about. Here's number one. Number one is $400 unemployment benefit. So, with this Presidential Memoranda, an additional $400 would be paid out to people receiving unemployment benefits. So, $300 would come from the federal government because up to 75% of the $400 is paid from federal funds that remain from the CARES Act. And then the remaining 25% comes from the state, so that would be the remaining $100. This will be extended until the end of 2020. But it is important to note, this is in place of the $600 which ended July 31st. This does not continue that program, but rather it starts a new program. This means that the $400 will not be delivered to you instantly. It may take a few weeks or a few months because it's something new. And here's a quote from the Presidential Memoranda. It reads as follows. In exercising the authority, the Secretary acting through the FEMA Administrator shall, subject to the limitations above, approve a lost wages assistance program that authorizes the governor to provide a $400 payment per week, which shall reflect a $300 federal contribution to eligible claimants from the week of unemployment ending August 1st, 2020. Now we have number two, and number two here is Payroll Tax Cut. So what this is actually a tax deferral. Employers get to defer payroll tax obligations. And this applies to people who make $100,000 or less each year. This is 7.65% of additional money added to your check. It's not really added, but instead of it being taken away in taxes, you will see this money on your check. So, for every $100 you get paid on a check, you will get an additional $7.65 added to that check. In other words, employees get a larger check now because some of the tax is taken out. But later in the future, you'll have to pay taxes on this money, and this starts from September 1st, 2020, and it goes until December 31st, 2020. Here's a quote from the Presidential Memoranda that explains it a little bit further. To that end, today I, President Trump speaking, directing the Secretary of Treasury to use his authority to defer certain payroll tax obligations with respect to the American workers most in need. This modest, targeted action will put money directly in the pockets of American workers and generate additional incentives for work and employment, right when the money is most needed. Now we have number three, and number three here is Eviction Moratorium. This section is a bit unclear, and this action does not reinstate federal eviction moratorium that expired back in July 2020, but rather it makes suggestions to federal agencies. Overall, this action says it's willing to offer assistance, but no formal directives are really given. So let's take a look at a quote from the Presidential Memoranda. Response to public health risks of evictions and foreclosures. The Secretary of Health and Human Services and the Director of CDC shall consider whether any measures temporarily halting residential evictions of any tenants for failure to pay rent are reasonably necessary to prevent the further spread of the illness from one state or possession into any other state or possession. So, because they say here, shall consider, that means they're just thinking about it. And I'll leave a link down below to this full memoranda so you can check it out when you get a chance. But several times the phrase shall is listed. Shall consider, shall this, shall that, and that means they're really just looking at it. But no formal directives, nothing is 100% yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. Now we have number 4. And number 4 here is student loan moratorium. So people with student loans who cannot pay due to the pandemic do not have to pay currently. Student loans will not accrue interest for the rest of the year. And President Trump said if he gets reelected, this may be extended into next year. So let's take a look at a quote from the memorandum. And provide such deferments to borrowers as necessary to continue the temporary cessation of payments and the waiver of all interest on student loans held by the Department of Education until December 31st, 2020. So that's good news. If you have student loans and you can't afford to pay them right now, you don't have to pay them right now because there'll be no interest placed on them due to the moratorium. There are some potential legal issues with this presidential memorandum. President Trump can have lawsuits filed against him for this, which would hinder the ability for everything we spoke about in this video to happen. But we'll have to wait and see. Also, Congress is still working on a stimulus package which includes the second stimulus check. None of these presidential memoranda specifically address this issue, so we will have to wait and see about potentially receiving another $1,200 stimulus check in the future. And I just want to say, if you got any value out of this video, just click the like button down below. Also click subscribe and turn on the notification bell, that way you'll be notified the moment I post my next video. And just comment the phrase down below, executive order, to let me know that you made it to the end of this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.